Recently, I received my new Discover It card in the mail, so I thought I would do an unboxing and a 5-year review of the Discover It cashback card in this video. Now, before we get into the unboxing and my honest 5-year review of this card, let's go over the amenities of the Discover It cashback card. Okay, now we're at the Discover website, and the Discover It cashback card is actually a pretty simple card. It earns 5% cash back in rotating quarterly categories on up to the first $1,500 in spend in those categories each quarter. And the categories, some of the common categories are grocery stores, restaurants, and gas stations. Now, I have seen some somewhat unusual categories in the 5 years that I have had the card, and I know 2 of the years digital wallets was one of the 5% categories where you would get 5% cash back if you used Apple Pay or Google Pay or Samsung Pay and you had your Discover It card in your digital wallet. So that was actually kind of nice for 2 years. It's been a few years since that happened. And another unique category just happened last year, about a year ago, was the utilities category. And there are not a lot of cards on the market that offer utilities as a 5% cash back category. There is one card that I do have that I can earn 5% cash back on utilities, and that is the US Bank Cash Plus card. And I do have that card, and I've had that card for quite a number of years. And so I use that card usually for utilities. But last year, I ended up using my Discover It card during that quarter, and I used my US Bank Cash Plus card for a different category because you can actually pick the two categories that you want to get 5% cash back in each quarter. And one of the categories that you can choose is home utilities. So I chose a different category last year whenever Discover had that as one of their categories. And then basically, after the 5% cash back, you get 1% cash back on all other purchases. Now, with the 5% cash back, it is restricted on up to the first $1,500 in spend in the quarterly categories. So once you spend $1,500 in a quarter in the 5% categories, then you will go to earning 1% cash back in those categories for the remainder of the quarter. Now, looking here on the Discover website, there is also in the middle of the page, you'll see where it says you will earn an unlimited cash back match. So basically, any cash back that you earn in the first year that you have the Discover It cash back card, they will actually double the amount of cash back that you earn. So I know when I got the card, I earned over $200 in cash back during that first year that I had the card. So it was actually kind of nice. So that's kind of the welcome offer that's always available on the Discover It cashback card. Now, scrolling down further here, you can actually pick the card design you want whenever you do apply for the card. And then now they do limit the number of designs that you can choose from when you apply for the card. But after you get the card initially, you can change it later on. And you can change it as often as you want to and they'll just send you a new card in the mail for the design that you pick. And then scrolling down here, another nice welcome offer on this is it does have the 0% APR for the first 15 months of having the card on purchases and balance transfers. Now, just a word of caution, when you do get a credit card, just be careful. If you do get a card, be mindful of that 0% APR and be careful not to overspend, because at the end of that 15 months, you want to make sure that you're at a zero balance on that card so that you do not have to pay any interest. Now, on this channel, I do preach where you should try to avoid paying any interest on any credit card. So that means paying your card in full every month, or at least paying the statement balance on each card every month. That way you don't get charged any interest on your credit cards, because that can really hurt you if you end up charging a lot of stuff on a credit card and you just let it accrue interest, and that interest just keeps building and building and building if you do not pay that off. So just credit cards can be a very great tool, but they can also be a very dangerous tool and get you into financial trouble. So just be careful when you do use a credit card for the intro APR, the intro 0% APR. Now, I do want to let you know there is another welcome offer on that Discover It cashback card. Now, on that page that I just showed you, that is actually, if you type in discover.com, that is actually that'll take you to that page that I just showed you. But there is another page, and I will put a link to that in the description of this video, where you can actually click into that link and it will take you to a special $200 bonus that you can earn on top of that cashback match welcome offer. So if you were to apply for the Discover It card in the middle of a quarter and you were to max out that $1,500 and spend each quarter, you would actually earn $750 in cash back match plus that $200. So you could earn a total of $950 in that first year of having that card. Now, I do want to let you know, I don't think in the 5 years that I've had the card that I've ever maxed out that $1,500 and spend for a quarter. I may have done it once, but I don't think I've done it any more than that. So it just depends on how the card fits into your spending. I know when I got the card, I had other credit cards, so the categories didn't always fit into my spending. Now, with that cashback match, you're actually earning in that first year that you have the card, you're earning 10% cash back in those rotating categories, and then you're earning 2% cash back on all other purchases. So that first year that I had the Discover It card, I was actually using it as my catch-all card, because at that time I did not have another card that earned 2% cash back on all purchases. The only card I had that earned a flat amount was the Capital One Quicksilver card, where I earned 1.5% cash back on all purchases. So that first year that I had the Discover It card, I did use it as my catch-all card so that I would get 2% cash back on all purchases that were outside of those 5% categories in that first year that I had the card with that cashback match. Now, before we get into how the Discover It card fits into my wallet, I do want to let you know that the Discover It card, you can actually apply for the card on the Discover website, and you can actually, there's actually a pre-approval link that you can click where you can actually see if you're pre-approved for the card. And there is, on the website, it does say that you don't necessarily have to have a credit score in order to apply for the card. Now, there is, if you are a student, there is a student version of the Discover It card available also. So, with that card, you don't necessarily have to have a credit history or a credit score. You could actually try to apply for that card, and you could do a pre-approval to see if you would actually qualify for that card. So the Discover It card could potentially be a starter card for someone. Now, when I got the card, it was not a starter card for me. What I did is I waited until my credit score was over 700 before I actually applied for it. And I applied for it on May 8th of 2021. So that was 5 years ago. And I applied for it on May 8th, and I was approved for it on that day. And I was actually approved for the card with an $11,000 credit limit. And then after I had the card for 6 months or a year, I can't remember when it was, but they actually increased my credit line to $13,000. And I was actually surprised that I got such a high credit limit on that card. And at that time, that was the highest credit limit I had ever gotten on a credit card that I had ever applied for. So if you do have a credit history and you have a strong credit score and you apply for it, you could and if your income is high enough, you could potentially get a pretty decent starting limit on the card, but your results are going to vary. And I mean, this was 5 years ago, so things may have changed since then in their underwriting criteria. Now, how does this Discover It card fit into my wallet? Well, as I said, I've had the card for 5 years, and when I did get the card, I only had 3 other credit cards. At that time, I had the Capital One Quicksilver card, I had a Merrick Bank card, which I did not earn any rewards at all on that card. With the Capital One Quicksilver, I earned 1.5% cash back on all purchases. And I also had the Walmart credit card that was issued by Capital One. And that card earned 5% cash back when you made a purchase on Walmart.com, and then you earned 2% cash back in the store. So at that time, when I got the Discover It card, I only had 3 other cards. Now that I've had the card for 5 years, I have several more cards because in 2021, I actually applied for, I think it was 2 or 3 more cards that year after I applied for that Discover It card. I remember 2 of the cards I applied for later were the US Bank Cash Plus card, which I got, and I also applied for the Chase Freedom Flex card, and I got that card as well. And the Chase Freedom Flex card is very similar to the Discover It card in where it earns 5% cash back in rotating quarterly categories, but it also earns 3% cash back on dining and drugstore purchases. So it's a little bit different. Now, one thing I do want to say is the Discover It card does fit nicely into my wallet because I do use it regularly. It all depends on the quarter and what the categories are. That will determine how I will use it and when I will use it. Now, for the first 2 quarters of this year, I've used it quite a bit. The first quarter, I used it on grocery store purchases because that was one of the categories. And I believe wholesale clubs was another category in that first quarter. And I did use it when I shopped at Sam's Club. I also have the Sam's Club credit card, but I think I ended up using both cards at Sam's Club. But and then in the second quarter of this year, I earned 5% cash back on restaurants and home improvement stores on the Discover It card. Now, I did not shop at any home improvement stores during that second quarter, and that's like shopping at like Home Depot or Lowe's, or actually if you shop at like a hardware store or a home furnishing store, you can earn like Ashley Home Stores, you could earn 5% cash back at those types of stores. But I didn't actually use the home improvement categories at all. I only used it for restaurant purchases. And then the for the third quarter, they've already announced the categories, and the categories are going to be gas and EV charging stations as one of the categories. And I already know I'm not going to be using it for gas purchases because the Chase Freedom Flex card is also going to be earning 5% cash back on gas purchases. Now, the reason I'm using that card instead of the Discover It card is because with the Chase Freedom Flex card, you're actually earning points. You're not necessarily earning cash back. Now, it is marketed as a cash back card, but you're actually earning 5 Chase Ultimate Rewards points for those purchases in those rotating categories. So now, if you were to cash that out, you would actually earn 1 cent per point. So that would actually be 5% if you were to cash it out. But you can actually use it for travel and other redemptions. So you can actually earn more than 5% back if you were to redeem those points in a good way. So that's why I'm going to be using my Chase Freedom Flex card for the third quarter of 2026 on gas station purchases. Now let's get into the unboxing of the Discover It card. Now, here's the envelope here. So I'm going to take out the paper here, and basically here are the cards. Now, the reason there are 2 cards on here is because I have an authorized user, and this is my card here, the copper card, and then the blue card is the card that my authorized user will be using. So they sent me 2 cards since they both expired in May of 2026. So, and these are going to be good, I think, until 2031 or something like that. But I'll show you here in just a moment. Okay, so here is my card off the paper, the copper card. And This is what it looks like. I'm not really going to show the back too much. I will show you a little bit because it does have the card number and the expiration date and the security code on that. So I can't show that, but I can show this part of the card here. And then here is my authorized users card right here. And then I'll show you the little bit of the back of that one right there. Now, these are just regular plastic cards. They're not metal or anything, so they don't really make that much of a noise whenever they hit a surface. And they are a little bit on the flexible side, but they're just like a standard credit card, not like my Chase Sapphire Preferred card, which I have, which is an actual metal card, or my Apple card, which is made out of titanium. So these are just regular plastic cards. That will conclude this video. If you would like to see the last video I did of what's in my wallet, click this video right here. I want to thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next video. You be blessed, stay safe, and bye for now.